How's it going, everyone? It's Javi from Weather Sponge 5000. Today is August 19th, 2018, just about to be August 20th, 2018. And we're going to take a look at the Northeast Pacific, or at least the Eastern Pacific, because we are tracking Hurricane Lane, which is, as you can see on the satellite imagery, it looks very organized. You can see that it still has a lot of convection and upper level not much upper level vertical wind shear ahead of this, or it's not really disorganizing by any type of wind shear, but you can see there's a lot of vertical motion and a lot of rising air with this storm. Proof is amount of thunderstorm activity, or how high the cloud tops are, as you can see in this imagery. So it doesn't have an eye anymore. It used to have an eye, but it seems like it went through an eye wall replacement cycle, which I expected it would never recover from, and so far that prediction is ending up to be correct, since it doesn't seem to be forming any type of eye wall as I can see. So I don't think it's ever gonna recover, because there's still gonna be a lot of dry air ahead of this. So there's Hurricane Lane where I'm pointing the mouse, and you can see ahead of it we see the orange and black, which represents the dry air, and Hurricane Lane is going to be basically sucking that dry air into its lower pressure core, which is going to make that lower pressure higher, and as a result less rising air and less humid air that's going to rise and create instability or convection to enhance those thunderstorms within the eye wall. So it seems like it's going to continue weakening as it makes its moves towards the west, and especially with the increased amount of wind shear that's just over the islands of Hawaii right now, it seems like it's going to gradually weaken. So I'm going to show you the current statistics of this storm, since you guys could get a better idea of how strong this storm still is. And even though it's going to gradually weaken, I wouldn't let my guard down in Hawaii just yet, because there's still a lot of time where the forecast could definitely change. So here's Hurricane Lane, 120 mile per hour winds, which classifies it as a Category 3 hurricane, millibar pressure at 960 millibars, and it's moving west at 14 miles per hour. So it definitely is a strong storm. It's considered a major hurricane, but the good news is that it's expected to gradually weaken. But I'll get to the bad news a little bit later, where Hurricane Lane may take a track which may favor a landfall towards Hawaii, but I'll get to that in a little bit. You can see that the increased wind shear will also enhance the basically the dying process of Hurricane Lane, and basically the weakening process of Hurricane Lane. So here's a projected path of this. You could see that I think it's taking a little bit of a track more north than I expected. Before, I expected this to mostly go towards the west and then take a slight turn to the north, but now the projected path is starting to take a more dramatic turn to the north than I originally expected. And the reason why is because we have the GFS model that's going to take a landfalling Hurricane Lane to Hawaii. But the good news is that even if it does make landfall, which is still a little bit far-fetched because it's the only type of computer model that's expecting a landfall, you can see it's still gonna bring it's gonna be a Category 1 hurricane, or possibly a tropical storm, if it does actually make landfall. So it doesn't seem to be loading the full GFS forecast for 5-6 days from now, or at least 3-4 days from now. But you could see that right now it's a 964, just south of the Hawaii Islands. And based on the run I just saw, the GFS was basically taking a landfalling Hurricane Lane, or possibly tropical storm lane in the islands of Hawaii. And the reason why is because it's probably due to the weakness in this ridge of high pressure just to the north that's gonna allow it to take that turn a little bit more to the north, and the weakness is probably due to this extra tropical cyclone, which may dip further south than originally expected, which may which may create a lane to the north for Hurricane Lane, and no pun intended, but you could see that the extratropical cyclone could create a break of dawn basically for Lane to take a quick turn to the north. As for the good news is that the European isn't really agreeing with that. It's taking a storm a little bit more to the southwest than the GFS, and you could see that it's taking more of a southwestern turn than what the GFS model is taking. So that is definitely the good news with this, is that the European isn't agreeing with the GFS, but it's still something to watch because it isn't every day you see a hurricane make landfall in the islands of Hawaii. You can see that the GFS taking a little bit more of a northern track, as it's probably due to a weakness in the high pressure that the GFS is expecting, and it's going to be interesting to watch. So don't let your guard down if you're in Hawaii yet. So make sure to keep an eye out. I will guarantee you that there's going to be high surf this week in Hawaii, and also possibly a rip current risk. So watch out if you go to a beach in Hawaii, because rip currents kill a big amount of people, much bigger than you expect, due to silly reasons that could easily be avoidable. So make sure to stay safe on the beaches if you live in the Hawaii area, and make sure to continue watching your local forecast, or even me, to be honest. But that's about it for the Eastern Pacific. The tropical cyclone that was originally already had a minimal chance of forming, but that was an area of interest, seems to have no type of interesting features to it anymore, as it just seems like it's going to be riddled with dry sinking air just surrounded by it, and it's just not going to be conducive enough for any development for that potential tropical cyclone. And as for the Atlantic, there's nothing going on either. I'm going to try to show you a current map of I don't think this is the Atlantic, but yeah, this is the Atlantic, and as you can see, there's barely any thunderstorms that looks any type of interesting. You could see that it's mostly dry air. The darker the color, the more dry air there is, and you could see that the Atlantic at this point is just riddled with dry sinking air, and I think that's partially due to the much warmer than average temperatures in the northern Atlantic, and that usually creates more lower pressure air masses in the northern Atlantic, and when that happens, there's rising air in that area, and there must be an equal amount of sinking air in an area near it. And I think that seems to be what's happening in the Atlantic, is that there's so much drying and rising and humid air more towards the US and northern Atlantic, that all the sinking air that's rising from the US and northern Atlantic has to sink in the main development region of the Atlantic, which is between Africa and the islands of the Caribbean, which is definitely good news. It's hindering any type of tropical development and any type of storm that could cause devastation in any area of the Atlantic. So it's definitely good news that we're seeing no type of tropical development in those areas, and it does seem like it's going to change. The GFS is taking a mostly quiet week to 2 weeks ahead of it, which is definitely good news. But predicting more than a week from now is basically an educated guess. It's basically very, very inaccurate, and I wouldn't trust any forecasts that are above 7 days, or maximum above 7 days. So the GFS doesn't seem to be loading, but you can see no type of tropical cyclone of interest. I guarantee you that this tropical cyclone you see here is expected to weaken, and just nothing much to look at in the Atlantic, which is definitely good news that we're not seeing tropical cyclones. But anyways, guys, I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe if you want to see more new videos every day. And I thank you for watching.